Hello guys, welcome to Scion What If. So in this video, we will see what if Goku fused with Broly and became the eternal legendary god. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, The Forbidden Fusion. The universe was dying. Goku felt it first during his training with Whis, that sudden, knife-sharp pain that made him drop to his knees mid-punch. Something vast and hungry gnawed at the edges of reality. You feel it too, don't you? Whis lowered his staff, his typically playful demeanor gone. Goku clutched his chest. What is that? Feels like someone's tearing chunks out of the universe. Because something is. Whis tapped his staff, creating a swirling portal of light. Look. The portal showed darkness, not space's familiar blackness studded with stars, but absolute nothingness spreading like spilled ink across galaxies. Where it touched, reality simply ceased to exist. We call it the void, Beerus said, appearing behind them. The god of destruction looked genuinely troubled. Even I can't destroy nothingness. Can we fight it? Goku's eyes narrowed, already calculating angles of attack. Whis shook his head. Not as you are now. Not even Ultra Instinct would scratch it. Then I'll get stronger. Goku punched his palm. There isn't time, Beerus snapped. It's already consumed 3 galaxies in the eastern quadrant. Whis turned his gaze directly to Goku. There might be one way, but it requires a sacrifice even you might hesitate to make. 3 days later, Goku stood alone on the barren surface of planet Vampa. Wind whipped red dust around his boots as he scanned the desolate landscape. His fingers twitched, nervous energy crackling through his body. Broly, he shouted, voice carrying across the empty canyons. I know you're out there. It's Goku. Nothing but howling wind answered. Goku sighed. Guess we're doing this the hard way. He closed his eyes, focusing on energy signatures. There, a massive power level deliberately being suppressed. Goku pressed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished. He reappeared inside a cave where Broly sat cross-legged before a small fire. The massive scion didn't even look up. I sensed you landing, Broly said, voice deeper and calmer than Goku remembered. I chose not to answer. Sorry to drop in. Goku scratched the back of his head. But this couldn't wait. Nothing ever can with you. Broly finally looked up, his face leaner, eyes sharper after years of solitary training. Last time you came, you brought me here to live in peace. Why disturb that now? Goku dropped to a crouch across from him. The universe is being eaten by something called the void. Not even the gods can stop it. And this concerns me how. Broly poked at the fire. I found peace here. No fighting. No rage. Everyone will die. Every planet, every person. Even Vampa. I've lived with death my whole life, Broly replied. What do you really want, Kakarot? Goku pulled an ancient scroll from his GI and unrolled it between them. Symbols in old Kai language glowed faintly across the parchment. Fusion, Goku said simply. Not like Gogeta. Something permanent. Broly's eyes widened. You want to stay fused? Forever. The Elder Kai found this ritual in the oldest archives. It's different from Potara or the fusion dance. It combines 2 warriors completely, bodies, minds, everything. Creates something entirely new. And you chose me? Broly stood suddenly, towering over Goku. Why not Vegeta? You fused with him before. Goku rose to meet his gaze. Because the ritual needs 2 opposite powers that complement each other. Vegeta and I are too similar. But you have the legendary Scion power. Raw, unlimited potential. Combined with my experience and techniques. He trailed off, letting the implications hang in the air. You're asking me to die, Broly stated flatly. I'm asking both of us to become something greater. Broly turned away, staring at the cave wall where he'd scratched tallies marking his days of isolation. I've spent years learning to control my rage, to find peace with who I am. His fists clenched. And now you want me to give that up? I'm asking you to help save everyone, Goku said quietly. Including yourself. By becoming someone else entirely. By becoming who we were meant to be. Broly laughed bitterly. Still the naive optimist. Maybe. Goku smiled slightly. But I've seen the void. There's no fighting it conventionally. This is our only shot. Something changed in Broly's posture. He turned back, eyes calculating. Show me. Goku nodded and touched his arm. Instantly, they vanished, reappearing on a small moon orbiting a gas giant. Before them stretched a panorama of space, half filled with stars, planets, and swirling nebulae. The other half, absolute nothingness. That's the edge, Goku explained. It's moving this way. 3 days and this system will be gone. Broly stared, transfixed by the approaching darkness. It's hungry. Yeah. And getting faster. They watched in silence as a comet drifted toward the boundary. The moment it touched the darkness, it simply ceased to exist, not destroyed, not consumed, just erased as if it had never been. What happens to us? Broly asked. After this fusion. Will I remember being me? Will you remember being you? The scroll says we'll both be there, but different. Our memories, personalities merged into someone new. Broly closed his eyes. I don't want to lose myself again. You won't, Goku insisted. Neither of us will. We'll both be there, just, together. And if I say no? Goku sighed. Then I try with someone else. But nobody has your potential, Broly. Nobody. Broly's eyes snapped open, flashing briefly green. You really believe we can stop that? He nodded toward the nothingness. I believe we have to try. The massive scion considered for another moment, then nodded once, decisively. Fine. But not here. Back on Vampa. I want my last moments as myself to be in the place that finally gave me peace. Goku grinned. Thanks, Broly. You won't regret, Broly's hand shot out, gripping Goku's throat. But hear me, Kakarot. If you're lying, if this is some trick, my rage won't stay buried. I'll tear apart whatever we become from the inside. Goku didn't struggle in the grip. He simply met Broly's gaze steadily. Fair enough. Back on Vampa, they stood at the center of a vast crater, the ancient scroll unrolled between them. Goku had drawn strange symbols in the red dirt, copying the pattern from the parchment. The ritual needs our blood, Goku explained, slicing his palm with a small knife. He handed it to Broly, who did the same without hesitation. They pressed their bleeding hands to the scroll. The symbols began glowing with golden light that spiraled up their arms. Second thoughts? Goku asked, his trademark smile masking the tension in his voice. Too late for those, Broly replied. Let's get this over with. Goku nodded and began reciting words in a language neither of them understood, syllables that felt ancient and powerful on his tongue. Broly joined in, the words somehow familiar despite being foreign. The golden light intensified, wrapping around them both like twin tornadoes of energy. The ground beneath them cracked, power radiating outward in violent waves that shook the entire planet. Is this supposed to happen? Broly shouted over the roaring energy. No idea. Goku yelled back. The scroll just said it'd be intense. Their bodies began to shimmer, becoming translucent. Goku felt his consciousness stretching, reaching toward Broly's mind while something of the other scion reached back. It wasn't like the fusion dance's brief merging of thoughts, this was deeper, more intimate. He could feel Broly's memories becoming his own, the isolation, the abuse, the rage, the fear. And he knew Broly was experiencing his life too, the peace of earth, the joy of his family, the thrill of battle. Kakarot, Broly's voice sounded distant. I know, Goku replied. Me too. The golden energy collapsed inward, compressing around them with crushing force. Pain beyond anything either had experienced ripped through them as their atoms disintegrated and reformed in new patterns. Then, silence. A single figure stood where two had been. Taller than Goku but less massive than Broly. Black hair with a greenish tint that seemed to shift in the light. The face, a perfect blend of both men, with Goku's defined jawline but Broly's intense eyes. The body wore neither's clothing but instead was covered in a new gi, dark green with orange accents, wrapped with Broly's fur pelt as a belt. The being opened his eyes, black pupils that flashed green with surging power. I'm. The voice was neither Goku's nor Broly's, but something between them. Who am I? Memories cascaded through his mind, two childhoods, two lives, two sets of experiences merging together like rivers joining. He clutched his head, overwhelmed. Goku? No. Broly? No. I'm both. Neither. He looked at his hands, flexing them experimentally. Phenomenal power coursed through his veins, barely contained. Goly, he decided suddenly. I am Goly. He tried taking a step and nearly fell as his new body responded differently than expected. His center of gravity had shifted. His muscles had different tension points. Everything familiar was now strange. This is weird. Goly laughed, and the sound was surprising, deeper than Goku's laugh but with the same carefree quality that Broly had never possessed. A sudden searing pain tore through his mind. Conflicting memories, contradictory instincts. Part of him wanted to fly immediately to Earth, to see Chi-Chi and Gohan and Goten. Another part recoiled at the thought, preferring solitude, fearing rejection. Get it together, he muttered. We chose this. The pain subsided gradually as his mind began integrating the conflicting aspects. He took a deep breath and focused on the power within him, a combination of Goku's refined ki control and Broly's limitless reserves. Let's see what I can do. Goly dropped into a stance that was neither Goku's nor Broly's but incorporated elements of both. He threw a punch and the air itself seemed to shatter, creating a sonic boom that echoed across Vampa's barren landscape. Whoa! He stared at his fist in surprise. Didn't even power up for that. He tried a simple ki blast next, pointing at a distant mountain. The energy that erupted from his palm wasn't the familiar blue of Goku's attacks or the green of Broly's, but a teal color that obliterated the mountain and continued into the atmosphere, parting clouds for miles. Okay, need to dial it back, Goly muttered. A lot. The ground beneath his feet cracked as his aura flickered to life automatically, responding to his emotions. He took another deep breath, trying to center himself. Time to test this body properly. He crouched and then launched himself skyward, breaking the sound barrier instantly. The sensation was exhilarating. He flew faster than either Goku or Broly had ever managed in base form. He twisted through Vampa's thin clouds, executing aerial maneuvers with growing confidence as his muscle memory adjusted. This is amazing, he shouted, his voice echoing across the empty planet. The joy was pure Goku, but the wild abandon had Broly's signature. As he flew, his thoughts became more organized, the two sets of memories settling into something cohesive. He wasn't two minds fighting for control, he was a single consciousness with aspects of both. After an hour of testing his physical capabilities, Goly landed back in the crater where the fusion had occurred. The ancient scroll lay on the ground, now blank, its purpose fulfilled. The void, he remembered suddenly. I need to tell the others. Without hesitation, he pressed two fingers to his forehead. Instant transmission was still there, though it felt different with his new energy signature. He focused on a familiar key, Vegeta. The barren landscape of Vampa vanished, replaced by the pristine lawn of Capsule Corporation. Vegeta was training in the gravity chamber nearby. Goku could feel his power pulsing. "Here goes nothing," Goku muttered, walking toward the building. Before he reached it, the door burst open. Vegeta emerged, already in a fighting stance, eyes locked on the newcomer. "Who the hell are you?" Vegeta demanded. "Your energy," he faltered. "It's familiar, but wrong." Goku raised his hands. "Vegeta, it's complicated." Spit it out." Vegeta's aura flared blue. "Why do you feel like Kakarot and that berserker Broly at the same time?" "Because I am." Goku stepped forward. "We fused. Permanently." Vegeta's eyes widened, then narrowed to suspicious slits. "Impossible. The Pot-era fusion isn't permanent for non-Kais, and the dance lasts 30 minutes. This wasn't either of those." Goku pointed to the sky. "There's something coming, Vegeta. Something worse than anything we've faced. The regular fusions wouldn't be enough. So Kakarot just decided to erase himself?" Vegeta scoffed. "And took that unstable monster with him? What nonsense is this? We didn't erase ourselves. We became me." Goku struggled to explain. "I have both their memories, both their, Daddy." The shout came from behind as Goten ran across the lawn, stopping short when he saw the stranger. The boy's expression shifted from excitement to confusion. You feel like my dad," Goten said hesitantly. "But you look different." Goku felt a pang in his chest, Goku's paternal instinct rising within him. He knelt down to the boy's level. "Hey, Goten." He smiled, trying to look reassuring. "It's complicated, but I am your dad, sort of." "Sort of?" Tears welled in the boy's eyes. "Where's my real dad?" The question hit Goku like a physical blow. Before he could respond, Bulma emerged from the house, followed closely by Trunks. "What's going on out here?" Bulma asked, then froze when she saw Goku. Her scientific mind immediately noted the similarities to both scions. "Oh my god, what happened?" "Kakarot did something stupid," Vegeta snapped. "Again." "It wasn't stupid," Goku protested, standing back up. "It was necessary. The void is coming, and this was the only way to have enough power to stop it." "The void?" Bulma repeated. "What are you talking about?" Goku explained quickly about the cosmic threat, the ancient ritual, the permanent fusion. As he spoke, more people gathered. Krillin and 18 had been visiting, and soon Gohan arrived, having sensed the strange new key signature. The reactions were mixed. Vegeta was livid, pacing and occasionally punching holes in the ground. Bulma was fascinated, immediately requesting to run tests. Krillin seemed uneasy but accepting. The children were confused and upset. Gohan's reaction was the most painful. "So my father is gone?" he asked quietly. "No, I'm right here," Goku insisted, then winced. "Part of me is, anyway. I have all his memories, all his feelings for you. But you're not him," Gohan said flatly. "You're someone else with his memories." Goku had no answer for that. Before he could try, a sharp pain lanced through his head. Conflicting emotions surged, Goku's desire to comfort his son warred with Broly's instinct to withdraw from emotional complications. He grimaced, clutching his temples. "I need a minute." "He's unstable," Vegeta observed coldly. Broly could barely control himself, and now his consciousness is fighting with Kakarot's inside that body. "No, it's not like that," Goku protested, though the pain suggested otherwise. "It's just, adjustment." Bulma approached cautiously. "What should we call you? Do you have a name?" "Goku," he replied, grateful for the simple question. "I'm calling myself Goku." "Original," Vegeta scoffed. Bulma shot her husband a look. Give him a break, Vegeta. This can't be easy. You know it's not easy. Vegeta snapped. Telling Chi-Chi that her husband decided to erase himself. The mention of Chi-Chi sent another spike of pain through Goku's mind. The Goku part of him felt overwhelming guilt, while the Broly part felt uncomfortable with the entire concept of explaining himself to Goku's wife. I need to see her, Goku decided. Now, before she hears it from someone else. I'm coming with you, Gohan said firmly. She'll need support. Goku nodded, not trusting himself to speak. He placed a hand on Gohan's shoulder, the gesture felt both natural and strange, and focused on Chi-Chi's key signature. The world blurred around them. They reappeared outside the Sun family home. Chi-Chi was hanging laundry, her back to them. For a moment, Goku just watched her, flooded with Goku's memories of their life together. Gohan cleared his throat. Mom. Chi-Chi turned, smiling at her son. Then her eyes fell on the stranger beside him, a man with her husband's face but not quite, with unfamiliar features blended in. Who's this? She asked, though something in her expression suggested she already sensed something was terribly wrong. Mom, this is complicated. Gohan stepped forward. There's a threat coming to Earth. To save everyone, Dad had to. Had to what? Chi-Chi's voice sharpened as fear set in. Where's Goku? Goku stepped forward. Chi-Chi, I don't. She held up a hand, eyes widening as she took in his features more carefully. You look like, but you're not. I'm Goku, he said gently. I'm what happened when Goku and Broly fused permanently. The laundry basket clattered to the ground. Permanently? The word came out as barely a whisper. There's a cosmic entity called the Void, Gohan explained quickly. Dad believed this fusion was the only way to gain enough power to stop it. So he's gone. Chi-Chi's voice broke. No, Goku insisted, taking another step toward her. I have all his memories, all his feelings. I remember our wedding, when Gohan was born, everything. But you're not him. Chi-Chi backed away. You're something else wearing pieces of my husband. The word stung worse than any physical blow Goku could imagine. Chi-Chi, please, don't, she shouted, tears streaming now. Don't you dare use his memories to pretend. Goku always did this, made huge decisions without thinking about his family. But this time he didn't just leave, he erased himself. Goku reached out instinctively, but she recoiled from his touch. Mom, Gohan said softly, moving to her side. He did it to save everyone. To save us. I don't care. Chi-Chi sobbed. He promised he wouldn't leave again. He promised. Goku stood frozen, overwhelmed by guilt from Goku's consciousness while Broly's discomfort with emotional confrontation made him want to flee. The conflicting instincts paralyzed him. I think you should go, Gohan said quietly. Give her time. Goku nodded numbly and stepped back. I'm sorry, he whispered. I thought it was the only way. Before either could respond, he pressed his fingers to his forehead and vanished. He reappeared at the lookout, needing somewhere quiet to think. The pain in his head had intensified, the two consciousness fragments still struggling to fully integrate. You are troubled, came Piccolo's deep voice from behind him. Goku turned. You know who I am. I sensed a massive power disturbance, then felt something that was neither Goku nor Broly but contained elements of both. Piccolo's expression remained stoic. The conclusion wasn't difficult. Everyone hates what I've done, Goku said quietly. They're grieving, Piccolo corrected. To them, Goku is dead. But I'm right here. Are you? Piccolo raised an eyebrow. Is Goku right here? Or is he a component of someone new? Goku had no answer. It will take time, Piccolo continued. For them, and for you. Your mind is still adapting to its new form. It hurts, Goalie admitted. Like two people arguing in my head. Meditation might help. Come. Piccolo led him to the edge of the lookout and sat in a lotus position. Goalie mimicked him, grateful for the Namekian's calm acceptance. They had been meditating for nearly an hour when a tremendous pressure wave rippled through the atmosphere. Goalie's eyes snapped open as he felt it, a familiar emptiness. It's here, he said, rising to his feet. Scouts from the void. Piccolo stood as well. I feel nothing. It's not ki energy. It's the absence of everything. Goalie focused on the sensation. West City. They're targeting population centers. Without another word, he teleported. The scene in West City was chaos. People ran screaming from what appeared to be walking shadows, humanoid figures of absolute darkness that absorbed light around them. Wherever they touched, matter simply disappeared. Goalie landed in the center of the street. Ichiwai, he shouted. Over here. The shadow creatures turned toward him in unison, empty faces revealing nothing. There were 7 of them, moving with eerie coordination. Piccolo was right, Goalie muttered to himself. I'm not Goku or Broly anymore. Time to find out who I really am. He dropped into a fighting stance as the creatures advanced. The first lunged at him with surprising speed. Goalie dodged and countered with a punch that should have shattered concrete, but his fist passed through the creature as if it weren't there. What the shadow's arm elongated, grazing Goalie's shoulder. Intense pain shot through him as a small portion of his GI and skin simply vanished. Okay, physical attacks don't work. He jumped back, reassessing. Let's try energy. He gathered ki in his palm, the new teal energy forming a compressed sphere, and launched it at the nearest shadow. The blast passed through harmlessly, destroying a building behind it. The shadows converged, moving faster now. Goalie took to the air, trying to keep distance while thinking. They're not matter, he realized. Their absence. So maybe. He held out both hands, focusing not on destructive energy but on the life force that flowed through him, the combination of Goku's refined spiritual energy and Broly's raw power. Light began to emanate from his body, not the typical aura of a powered-up scion but something different, warmer, more substantial. The shadows hesitated. That's right, Goalie said. You don't like this, do you? He pushed the energy outward in a wave. Where it touched the shadow creatures, they seemed to solidify briefly before evaporating with high-pitched wails. Goalie pressed his advantage, pouring more energy into the technique. The light expanded in a dome around him, catching all 7 shadows and disintegrating them. When the last creature vanished, Goalie lowered his hands, breathing heavily. The technique had drained him more than expected. What was that? Came Vegeta's voice as he landed nearby. That wasn't ki. Something new, Goalie admitted. I just knew how to do it. Those things went right through my attacks, Vegeta said grudgingly. Whatever. You did worked. They were scouts, Goalie explained. The void is testing Earth's defenses. And we failed. Goalie looked at the destruction around them. If 7 scouts caused this much damage, imagine what the full void will do. Vegeta crossed his arms. So your big sacrifice is already proving worthless. Wonderful. I'm still learning what I can do, Goalie snapped, Broly's temper flaring unexpectedly. Give me time. We don't have time. Vegeta shouted. Your scouts made that clear. Goalie's aura flashed, green electricity crackling around him as his eyes shifted color. Don't push me, Vegeta. The prince took a step back, recognizing Broly's rage surfacing. Control yourself, or this fusion is more dangerous than helpful. The words cut through Goalie's anger. He took a deep breath, forcing the power back down. Sorry. Still working on balance. Before Vegeta could respond, Whis appeared beside them, staff in hand. I see you've completed the ritual, the angel observed, studying Goku with curious eyes. Fascinating result. Did you know this would happen? Vegeta demanded. That Kakarot would erase himself. I explained the risks, Whis replied calmly. Goku made his choice. Why are you here? Goku asked. Because the void has accelerated its approach. Whis tapped his staff, creating a visual portal. After sensing your energy, it changed course directly for Earth. It will be here in 3 days. 3 days? Vegeta exploded. You said we had weeks. Something attracted its attention. Whis looked pointedly at Goku. It senses your power and recognizes a threat. Goku's expression hardened with determination. Good. Let it come. I'll be ready. You'd better be, Whis said, his typical lightheartedness absent. Because the entire universe is counting on you now. The angel vanished, leaving Goku and Vegeta standing amid the rubble of West City. 3 days to master powers I barely understand, Goku muttered. Then stop wasting time, Vegeta said sharply. If you're going to justify erasing Kakarot, you'd better start training. Goku nodded. I need space to test my limits without hurting anyone. The hyperbolic time chamber, Vegeta suggested. A day out here is a year in there. No, Goku shook his head. I need to be available if more scouts appear. Somewhere isolated on Earth. The Arctic, Vegeta decided. Nothing there but ice. Meet me there, Goku said. I need to make one stop first. Before Vegeta could protest, Goku teleported back to the Sun House. He appeared at a distance this time, watching the home without approaching. Through the window, he could see Chi-Chi sitting at the kitchen table, face in her hands. Gohan sat beside her, arm around her shoulders. Goten was curled in her lap. The sight sent a wave of mixed emotions through him, Goku's love and regret, Broly's uncomfortable confusion at such intimate family dynamics. But for the first time, a third emotion emerged, something uniquely Goku's, neither Goku's nor Broly's but a new protective determination. I'll make this right, he promised quietly. I'll save them, then earn back their trust. He raised his fingers to his forehead and vanished. In the distant reaches of space, beyond the detection of even the most sensitive instruments, a consciousness observed. Kronos, ancient among even the gods, watched the new being with calculating interest. So a mortal dares to transcend his limitations, he mused. How unprecedented. With a gesture, he summoned an image of the void, not the mindless force the others perceived, but his own creation, a test to separate worthy life from cosmic chaff. Let us see if this fusion deserves to exist, Kronos smiled coldly. Or if it represents a dangerous imbalance in the cosmic order. He waved his hand, and across the universe, the void accelerated its consumption of reality. Chapter 2, Mastery and Purpose. Goku stood alone in the Arctic wasteland, ice stretching endlessly in every direction. The bitter cold didn't bother him, his new body generated heat without effort, melting the snow in a perfect circle around his feet. He closed his eyes, diving inward. The internal landscape of his mind remained chaotic, memories from 2 lives colliding like storm fronts. Goku's discipline battled Broly's raw instinct. Strategic thinking clashed with berserker rage. Focus, he muttered. You're neither of them. You're both. You're new. Power surged through him in waves, unstable and unpredictable. When he'd battled the Void Scouts, he'd acted on instinct, channeling something beyond either of his component selves. Find that again. He extended his hand, trying to recreate the light that had destroyed the shadow creatures. Nothing happened. He grunted in frustration. What are you waiting for? Vegeta's voice cut through the silence as the prince landed nearby. Transform already. Into what? Goku asked, genuinely unsure. Super Saiyan, obviously. Goku shook his head. I don't know if I can. Or should. This body's different. Different or not, you're still Saiyan. Vegeta crossed his arms. Unless that ritual somehow removed your heritage along with your common sense. Fine. Goku planted his feet. Let's try. He reached for the familiar trigger, that place of need and anger that sparked the Super Saiyan transformation. Immediately, pain lanced through his mind. Broly's memories of uncontrolled rage flooded him, while Goku's disciplined approach tried simultaneously to channel and constrain the power. His aura flickered, gold, then green, then a mixture of both. His hair lifted but refused to change color, pulsing between black and gold-tinged green. Something's wrong, he gasped, dropping to one knee as energy crackled erratically around him. Your energies are fighting each other, Vegeta observed. Broly's power was always wild. Kakarot's was controlled. I need to find my own way. Goku stood shakily. Not his. Mine. 3 days until the void arrives, Vegeta reminded him coldly. Figure it out fast. Goku took a deep breath. Hit me. What? Attack me. Full strength. Don't hold back. Vegeta smirked. Finally, a request I can appreciate. Without further warning, he transformed to Super Saiyan Blue and launched forward, fist connecting with Goku's jaw in an explosive impact that sent him flying across the ice field. Goku crashed through 3 ice ridges before stopping himself. Blood trickled from his lip, but he smiled. Again. Vegeta obliged, unleashing a barrage of attacks that would have crippled most opponents. Goku defended instinctively, his body moving with Goku's practice technique while Broly's durability absorbed impacts that should have shattered bone. Still not transforming, Vegeta taunted between strikes. Maybe this fusion was a downgrade. Something snapped inside Goku, not anger exactly, but determination. His aura exploded outward, knocking Vegeta back. His hair rose and settled into a new form, longer than Goku's style but not as wild as Broly's, colored teal with golden highlights. His muscle mass increased slightly, and his eyes shifted to the same teal color. The energy surrounding him wasn't the transparent aura of Super Saiyan but something denser, almost liquid in appearance. What is that? Vegeta demanded. That's not Super Saiyan. No, Goku agreed, examining his transformed state with surprise. It's something new. Legendary God form, maybe? God? Don't get ahead of yourself. Vegeta scoffed, then attacked again, this time with a powerful ki blast. Goku caught the energy in his bare hand and absorbed it without effort. Whoa! He countered with his own attack, a casual flick of his wrist that sent a compressed ball of teal energy toward Vegeta. The prince barely dodged, and the sphere continued into the distance, detonating with shocking force that turned a mountain-sized iceberg into steam instantly. Careful! Vegeta shouted. You'll melt the damn poles. Sorry. Goku powered down, his hair and eyes returning to normal. Still calibrating. Calibrating? Vegeta landed nearby. This isn't a machine you're tuning. It's power that could destroy the planet if you're careless. I know. But it felt right. Goku flexed his hands. Different than either Super Saiyan or Broly's legendary form. More balanced. Balance won't matter if you can't sustain it in battle, Vegeta pointed out. How long can you hold that transformation? I don't know yet. Let's find out. For hours, they trained across the Arctic landscape, Goku experimenting with his new form while Vegeta pushed him relentlessly. The transformation drained energy faster than Super Saiyan Blue but delivered exponentially more power. Your technique's sloppy, Vegeta critiqued after landing a solid hit. You have Kakarot's knowledge but not his muscle memory. Working on it, Goku grunted, countering with a combination that was neither Goku's nor Broly's but something entirely new, utilizing Broly's raw strength with Goku's precision. By sunset, both warriors were exhausted. They sat on an ice ridge, watching the Arctic sky paint itself in spectacular colors. 2 days left, Vegeta said grimly. I need to go deeper, Goku replied. This physical training helps, but the real battle is inside. He tapped his temple. Until I resolve the conflict here, I can't access my full potential. Then go resolve it, Vegeta stood. I'm returning to Bulma. She's working on something that might help against the void. After Vegeta departed, Goku remained alone in the gathering darkness. He crossed his legs in meditation pose and closed his eyes, traveling inward. His mindscape appeared as two distinct territories, one ordered and serene like a martial arts dojo, the other wild and primal like Vampa's harsh landscape. Where they met, chaos reigned, memories and instincts clashing violently. This won't work, Goku realized. They can't just coexist side by side. They need to blend. He focused on the border between the territories, visualizing not a battle line but a meeting place. Slowly, the landscapes began to shift, elements of each bleeding into the other. The dojo gained the raw energy of Vampa's environment while the wilderness acquired structure and purpose. In the physical world, Goku's body began to glow softly, the teal aura manifesting even in his meditative state. On the sacred world of the Kais, the Supreme Kai observed the distant energy signature with concern. You feel that? He asked Elder Kai. It's unlike anything I've sensed before. The fusion ritual was successful then, Elder Kai nodded. Though whether that's good or bad remains to be seen. Should we summon him here? Guide this new being? Elder Kai stroked his mustache thoughtfully. No need. He's already coming. True to the elder's words, Goku appeared moments later via instant transmission. His expression was determined, though physical fatigue showed in the shadows beneath his eyes. I need your help, he said without preamble. Bold of you to assume we'd offer it, Elder Kai replied. That ritual was forbidden for good reason. What's done is done, the Supreme Kai intervened. What help do you seek, Goku? Surprise flashed across Goku's face. You know my name. We've been watching, Supreme Kai explained. Your battle with the Void Scouts was impressive. But inadequate, Goku admitted. I need to understand what I've become. The scroll mentioned an eternal legendary god state. Elder Kai sighed dramatically. Always rushing to the highest transformation without mastering the basics. I don't have time for basics. Goku's patience cracked, Broly's temper flaring momentarily. He took a deep breath. Sorry. But the void will reach Earth in 2 days. The Kais exchanged glances. The ritual you performed, Supreme Kai began carefully, was designed eons ago for a specific purpose. Not to create warriors but to create guardians. Guardians? Beings who could maintain cosmic balance, Elder Kai explained. Not through destruction like Beerus, but through creation and preservation. That light you manifested against the Void Scouts, Supreme Kai continued. That wasn't key energy. It was life force itself, the fundamental power that defines existence. Goku's eyes widened. That's why it worked against them. They're anti-existence, and I countered with pure existence. Precisely. Elder Kai nodded. But generating that energy nearly drained you, because you're fighting yourself internally. The ritual assumes willing integration. I am willing, Goku protested. Parts of you are, Supreme Kai corrected gently. But other parts cling to their former identities. How do I fix that? Through the pendulum room, Elder Kai decided. It won't be pleasant, but it might accelerate your integration. They led Goku to an ancient chamber deep within their temple. Symbols similar to those on the fusion scroll adorned the walls, pulsing with soft light. This room exists outside normal time, Supreme Kai explained. Here, you can confront your component selves directly. Will it hurt? Goku asked. Tremendously, Elder Kai answered cheerfully. But less than being erased by the void, I'd wager. Goalie stepped into the center of the room without further hesitation. Do it. The Kais began chanting in an ancient language. The symbols on the walls intensified, light streaking toward Goalie from all directions. He cried out as his consciousness split, not physically, but mentally, into its component parts. Suddenly, he stood in a featureless white space. Before him stood two figures, Goku and Broly, looking exactly as they had before the fusion. This is weird, Goku's aspect said, scratching his head. Agreed, Broly's aspect replied, arms crossed defensively. Goalie approached them. I need you both to fully join with me. We already did, Goku pointed out. That's why you exist. Not completely, Goalie shook his head. You're both still holding back parts of yourselves. I can feel it. Broly's aspect stepped forward, eyes narrowed. Because I don't trust this. I spent years learning to control my rage, to be myself without my father's influence. Now I'm supposed to surrender that identity completely. And I have a family, Goku added. People who need me to be me, not someone else. I understand, Goalie said quietly. But holding back is tearing me apart. We can't defeat the void like this. Maybe we made a mistake, Goku suggested. Maybe there was another way. There wasn't, Broly countered unexpectedly. I saw the void too. Nothing less than our combined power could hope to challenge it. Then why resist? Goalie asked. Fear, Broly admitted. Fear of losing control again. And I'm afraid of losing connection, Goku added. To Chi-Chi, my sons, my friends. Goalie nodded slowly. I carry those connections too. But differently. Show us, Goku challenged. Goalie closed his eyes, summoning memories of the brief time he'd existed. The pain in Chi-Chi's eyes. The confusion on his sons' faces. The determination to protect them anyway. I love them differently than you did, he told Goku's aspect. But I do love them. And I'll protect them. He turned to Broly. And I understand your rage, your power. But I can channel it without being consumed by it. Prove it, Broly demanded. Goalie transformed into his teal-haired state. The energy flowed smoothly, controlled but immense. This is just the beginning of what we can become together. The aspects exchanged glances. One condition, Goku said. Promise to protect Earth and its people. Always. I promise, Goalie replied without hesitation. And find a way to live in balance, Broly added. Not just power for its own sake. I will. Both aspects nodded, then stepped forward, merging into Goalie's form. The integration wasn't painful this time but warming, like pieces clicking perfectly into place. The white space shattered, and Goalie found himself back in the pendulum room, on his knees, breathing heavily. The Kais watched with wide eyes. Your energy. Supreme Kai whispered. Goalie stood, feeling the difference immediately. His mind was quiet now, not empty, but harmonious. The memories remained distinct but no longer conflicted, like instruments in an orchestra playing in perfect synchrony. Thank you, he said simply. Don't thank us yet, Elder Kai warned. You've achieved internal balance, but the eternal legendary God state remains beyond your reach. What else do I need? Purpose, Supreme Kai answered. Not just power for power's sake. The original guardians existed to maintain cosmic balance. My purpose is clear, Goalie stated. Protect Earth. Defeat the void. Admirable, Elder Kai nodded. But limited. The power you seek transcends planetary concerns. Before Goalie could respond, pain lanced through his mind, not internal conflict this time, but external danger. He sensed it instantly. Earth, he gasped. More void scouts, dozens of them. Without another word, he pressed his fingers to his forehead and vanished. He reappeared in the stratosphere above Earth, immediately spotting the disturbance. A rift had opened in space, a tear in reality through which poured not the shadow creatures from before, but something worse, flying crystalline beings that absorbed light and matter on contact. Below, he could see Vegeta already engaged in battle alongside Gohan, Piccolo, and the other Z fighters. They were holding their own, but barely. Their attacks passed through some creatures while damaging others, with no discernible pattern. Goku didn't hesitate. He transformed into his teal state and dove into the fray. About time. Vegeta shouted as Goku appeared beside him. These things are different from the scouts. I see that. Goku dodged a crystal shard that shot toward him. Some are matter, some antimatter. We need to hit each with its opposite. And how exactly do we determine that? Piccolo demanded, regenerating an arm that had been severed by contact with one creature. Goku focused, drawing on his newly integrated senses. The ones absorbing light, hit them with energy. The ones reflecting light, hit them physically. He demonstrated, launching a teal energy blast at a light-absorbing crystal being that shattered on impact, then punching through a reflective one with his fist. The others followed his lead, their effectiveness immediately improving. But the rift continued widening, more creatures pouring through by the second. We need to close that portal. Gohan shouted. Goku nodded. Cover me. He flew directly toward the rift, charging energy in both hands, not destructive ki but the pure life force he'd used against the scouts. The crystal beings swarmed toward him, sensing the threat. Vegeta, Gohan, and the others formed a defensive perimeter, intercepting the creatures before they could reach Goku. At the rift's edge, Goku could feel the nothingness beyond, the void itself, watching, waiting. He thrust his hands forward, life energy streaming into the tear. Where it touched the edges, reality seemed to stitch itself back together. The rift fought back, widening against his efforts. Sweat beaded on Goku's forehead as he poured more power into the technique. It's not working, he shouted in frustration. Below, a city burned as creatures broke through the defenders' line. Thousands of lives hung in the balance. Something shifted in Goku's mind, a new perspective emerging from the fully integrated consciousness. He wasn't just fighting against the void, he was fighting for existence itself. Every life, every moment, every possibility. His aura changed, deepening to a richer teal with gold lightning crackling across its surface. His hair lengthened slightly, and his muscle definition increased. Legendary God Stage 2, he whispered, the name coming to him instinctively. He pulled back from the rift, cupping his hands at his side. Ka. Me. The energy that gathered wasn't blue but that same deep teal, pulsing with life force. Ha. Me. Everyone clear out. Vegeta shouted, recognizing the stance. Ha. The beam that erupted from Goku's hands dwarfed any Kamehameha Goku had ever produced. It struck the center of the rift with pinpoint accuracy, carrying not destruction but creation, the fundamental force of existence itself. The rift collapsed inward, reality snapping back into place with a thunderclap that echoed across the atmosphere. The remaining crystal beings shattered simultaneously, leaving only debris raining down harmlessly. Goku descended to where the others had regrouped, his enhanced form still active but stable. That was. Gohan seemed at a loss for words. Different, Piccolo finished. That wasn't ki you used. No, Goku confirmed. It's life energy. The opposite of what the void uses. Will it be enough? Krillin asked. Against the real thing? Not yet, Goku admitted. But I'm getting closer. Vegeta stepped forward, studying Goku's new form with narrowed eyes. Your power level is ridiculous, he said grudgingly. But the void is still coming. You closed a small tear, not the main body. One day left, Goku nodded. I need to push further. Not alone. The voice came from behind them. They turned to see Bulma approaching in a hover vehicle, accompanied by Whis. "I've been analyzing the energy readings from your fights with these creatures," Bulma explained, hopping down with a tablet in hand. "And I think I've developed something that might help stabilize your power output." She held up what looked like a simple bracelet. "This regulator should help you channel the life energy more efficiently, without the power drain." Goku took it gratefully, slipping it onto his wrist. Immediately, he felt the difference, like a dam channeling a river rather than trying to contain a flood. "Thanks, Bulma." "Don't thank me yet," she replied. "It's just a prototype. No guarantees it won't explode if you push too hard." "Reassuring," Goku said dryly, a hint of Vegeta's sarcasm slipping into his speech patterns. "There's something else," Whis interjected. "Lord Beerus has requested your presence." "Beerus? Why?" "He's gathered the other gods of destruction," Whis explained. "The void threatens all universes, not just this one. They wish to evaluate you." Goku frowned. "Evaluate?" "To determine if you're worth supporting in the coming battle," Whis clarified. "Or if they should implement their own solution." "Which is?" "Destroying this universe entirely, containing the void at the cost of all life here." Silence fell over the group. "When?" Goku asked finally. "Now." Whis tapped his staff. "If you're ready." Goku turned to the others. "Keep Earth safe. I'll be back as soon as I can." "Good luck," Gohan said quietly. "Yeah, don't let those destruction guys push you around," Krillin added. Vegeta just nodded once, the closest he'd come to showing support. Goku stepped beside Whis, and the angel transported them instantly to Beerus's planet. There, arranged in a semicircle, stood all 12 gods of destruction and their attendant angels. "So this is the fusion anomaly," Kampa, Beerus's brother, said dismissively. "Doesn't look like much." "Show some respect," Beerus countered. "He's stronger than he looks." "But is he strong enough?" asked Belmont of Universe 11. "The void consumes reality itself." "That's what I intend to find out," came a new voice. From behind the assembled gods stepped a tall figure Goku didn't recognize, humanoid but with skin that seemed to shift between various cosmic patterns, as if the universe itself were projected onto his form. His eyes held galaxies. "Kronos," Whis whispered. "The god of universal balance." Goku straightened, sensing power beyond even the collective gods of destruction. "You're the one who's been watching me." Kronos smiled thinly. "Very perceptive." "Yes, I've observed your emergence with great interest." "Why?" "Because you shouldn't exist," Kronos replied simply. "The ritual you used was designed for my chosen guardians, not mortal scions playing at godhood." The word stung, but Goku maintained his composure. "Yet here I am." "Indeed. An aberration. A potential threat to cosmic balance." "Or its savior," Goku countered. "If I can stop the void." Kronos circled him slowly. "And therein lies our dilemma. Are you solution or symptom? The void appears drawn to your energy signature specifically." "What are you suggesting?" Goku asked, though he already suspected the answer. "That perhaps the void isn't a random cosmic horror," Kronos stated. "But a response to your existence." Murmurs spread among the gods of destruction. "You created it," Goku realized. "As a test." Kronos didn't deny it. "The question remains, are you worthy of the power you've claimed? Or should you be erased along with the void to restore proper balance? And you're the judge." Goku's anger rose, his aura flickering. "Someone must be." Kronos gestured, and space itself warped around them. Suddenly, they stood alone in what appeared to be a pocket dimension, a small planetoid floating in colorful nebulae. "Here, you will face 3 challenges," Kronos explained. "Strength. Wisdom. Sacrifice. Pass them, and I will acknowledge your right to exist and aid you against the void. Fail, and I will unmake you myself. Before Goku could respond, a figure materialized before him, a perfect copy of Jiren at his full power. Begin, Kronos commanded, vanishing. The Jiren copy attacked without warning, its power equal to the original at his peak. Goku blocked the first flurry of punches but was caught by a powerful kick that sent him flying across the planetoid. This is the strength test. Goku called out, knowing Kronos was watching. Recycling old opponents? No answer came. Except another attack from Jiren. This time, Goku transformed into his legendary god form and countered effectively. They exchanged blows that shook the small world beneath them. Despite his new power, Goku found himself evenly matched. For every technique from Goku's repertoire, the Jiren copy had a counter. For every burst of Broly's raw strength, it had equal force. I can do this all day, Goku grunted after a particularly brutal exchange. Is that the plan? Fight until exhaustion. The Jiren copy suddenly multiplied, becoming 2, then 4, then 8 identical warriors, all at full power. Okay, that's new, Goku muttered. The copies attacked simultaneously from all directions. Goku defended desperately, but 8 Jirens proved too much. Blows slipped through his guard, each hitting with catastrophic force. Battered and bleeding, Goku created distance with a Ki shockwave. This isn't a fair test. The void fights fair. Kronos' voice echoed from nowhere. Interesting assumption. Goku grimaced, realizing his mistake. This wasn't about winning a tournament match, it was about survival against impossible odds. He closed his eyes, focusing inward. The strength test wasn't about raw power, he had plenty of that. It was about application. His eyes snapped open, now glowing intensely. Rather than engaging all 8 copies directly, he planted his feet and spread his arms. Solar flare times 100, he shouted, combining Goku's technique with Broly's power output. Light brighter than a supernova erupted from his body. The Jiren copies, despite their power, were blinded instantly. Goku moved with preternatural speed, striking precise pressure points on each copy in sequence. One by one, they collapsed. When the light faded, all 8 lay immobile. Impressive, Kronos reappeared. You chose efficiency over brute force. The Jiren copies vanished, and the environment shifted. Now Goku stood before what appeared to be a simple wooden door. Your wisdom test, Kronos explained. Beyond this door lies a perfect simulation of Earth, populated by copies of everyone you care about. They believe they are real. A void fragment approaches. You have enough power for one action, save a single city of millions, or save your loved ones gathered in one place. Choose. Goku stared at the door. This is your wisdom test. An impossible choice. There are no perfect answers in cosmic guardianship, Kronos replied. Only choices and consequences. Goku reached for the door handle, then paused. Something didn't add up. Wait. The ritual that created me was designed for cosmic guardians, correct? Yes. And their purpose was maintaining balance. Correct again. Goku turned away from the door. Then this is a false choice. A true guardian wouldn't choose between loved ones and strangers, they'd find a way to save both or sacrifice themselves trying. Kronos' expression remained neutral. You refuse the test. I reject its premise, Goku stated firmly. The wisdom isn't in making an impossible choice, it's in recognizing when you're being manipulated into a false dichotomy. Silence stretched between them. Then, remarkably, Kronos smiled. Well reasoned. He waved a hand, and the door vanished. Many potential guardians fail by walking through that door, accepting limitations imposed by others. Relief washed through Goku. 2 down, 1 to go. The final test is sacrifice. Kronos' expression turned grave. And by far the most difficult. The environment changed again. This time, they stood in what appeared to be the time nest, a place outside conventional reality where timelines were monitored. Before them floated two crystal orbs. In one, Goku could see Goku and Broly standing separately, alive and whole, as if the fusion had never happened. In the other, he saw the void retreating from Earth, reality restored. Your choice is simple, Kronos explained. I can undo your fusion, returning Goku and Broly to their separate existences. Their families would have them back, whole and unchanged. Or I can guarantee your victory against the void. But not both, Goku realized. No. The power to defeat the void requires your existence as a fused entity. Separating you would save two individuals but doom countless universes. Goku stared at the image of Goku and Broly. He could see Chi-Chi embracing Goku, tears of joy on her face. Gohan and Goten dogpiling their father. Broly finding peace, perhaps even friendship. His heart ached with longing, both Goku's desire to return to his family and Broly's wish for acceptance. This isn't theoretical, is it? Goku asked quietly. You could actually do this. I am the god of universal balance, Kronos confirmed. This falls within my domain. Goku reached toward the orb showing his component selves, fingers trembling. Then he stopped. No, he said, voice firm. I choose neither. Kronos raised an eyebrow. Explain. The first option means I cease to exist, and though I've only lived briefly, I have the right to continue. The second option trades certainty for lives. Both choices accept your framing. Goku stood taller. I reject both. I will defeat the void as myself and find a way to heal the relationships with the people I care about. You believe you can succeed where even I see no path. Yes. Goku's confidence was absolute. Because unlike you, I'm not just observing from a distance. I'm living it. Kronos studied him for a long moment. Then the orbs vanished, and they returned to Beerus's planet where the gods of destruction waited. He has passed, Kronos announced. Murmurs of surprise spread among the gods. What happens now? Beerus asked. Now, Kronos turned to Goku, we prepare for the void's arrival. It reaches Earth tomorrow, drawn by the energy signature of our new guardian. Guardian? Goku repeated. Provisional, Kronos clarified. Prove yourself against the void, and I will formally recognize your status. The power you seek, the eternal legendary God state, will be within your reach. And if I fail? Then we implement the destruction contingency, and your universe ends. Kronos gestured to the assembled gods. They have agreed to combine their Hakai energy if necessary. It won't be, Goku stated. I'll stop the void. Bold words, Belmod commented. But can you back them up, another destruction god challenged. Before Goku could respond, Whisa's staff chimed urgently. The angel checked it, his typically placid expression faltering. The void has accelerated again, he announced. It will reach Earth in 3 hours, not tomorrow. Goku's blood ran cold. 3 hours? I'm not ready. Ready or not, Kronos said calmly, your test has arrived. Send me back. Goku demanded. Now. Whis nodded and tapped his staff. I'll accompany you. As they prepared to depart, Kronos approached Goku once more. Remember what you learned here. Strength alone won't save you. Nor will wisdom or sacrifice individually. Find the balance between them. I will, Goku promised. They vanished, reappearing on Earth, but not the Earth they'd left. The sky had turned blood red, gravity fluctuated wildly, and in the distance, a wall of nothingness advanced across the landscape, erasing everything it touched. It's happening too fast, Whis observed. Reality is already breaking down. Goalie spotted the other Z fighters gathered at Capsule Corp, making what appeared to be a final stand. He flew toward them, Whis following. "The Void, it's early," Krillin shouted as they landed. "We noticed," Goalie replied grimly. "Where are the civilians?" "Bulma activated emergency shelters worldwide," Gohan explained. "But they won't hold against that." He pointed to the advancing wall of nothingness. "I need to get closer," Goalie decided. "Meet it head-on." "That's suicide," Piccolo argued. "Maybe." Goalie transformed into his legendary god form. "But running isn't an option." "I'm coming with you," Vegeta declared, powering up to blue evolution. Goalie shook his head. "No. Stay here, protect the others. If I fail." "If you fail, we all cease to exist anyway," Vegeta cut him off. "I'd rather go out fighting." Before Goalie could argue further, a figure descended from the sky, Chi-Chi, carried by Gohan. "I felt him transforming," she explained to her confused son. She approached Goalie cautiously. "I wanted to see you, before." Chi-Chi, Goalie's voice softened. "I'm sorry for everything. For not being him." "No." She shook her head. "I'm sorry. I was selfish. Goku did what he always does, what needed to be done to protect everyone. And now you're doing the same." She reached up, touching his cheek gently. "There's enough of him in your eyes for me to see he made the right choice. Go save the world, again." The simple acceptance struck Goalie deeper than any blow. "I will." The moment was interrupted by a thunderous crack as reality itself split further. The Void's advance accelerated visibly. "It's time," Whis said urgently. Goalie nodded, then addressed the gathered fighters. "No matter what happens, know that Earth was worth fighting for. All of you were worth fighting for." He turned and rocketed toward the wall of nothingness, Vegeta stubbornly following despite the protest. As they approached, the true scale of the Void became apparent. Not just a wall but a three-dimensional mass of anti-existence, consuming everything in its path. "What's the plan?" Vegeta shouted over the roar of disintegrating reality. "Hit it with everything." Goalie replied, channeling energy into his palms. They unleashed their most powerful attacks simultaneously, Goalie's Teal Life Energy Beam and Vegeta's Final Flash. The attack struck the Void's leading edge, and vanished without effect. "It's too powerful," Vegeta growled. "We need," his words cut off as a tendril of nothingness shot forward, grazing his arm. Vegeta screamed as part of his flesh simply ceased to exist, not wounded or destroyed but erased from reality. "Vegeta!" Goalie grabbed him, pulling him back from the advancing wall. "You need to retreat. And leave you to die alone." Vegeta clutched his partially erased arm. "Not a chance, Fusion. This isn't about pride or friendship," Goalie insisted. "I need to try something, and I can't worry about you getting caught in it." Vegeta studied him for a moment, then nodded grudgingly. "Fine. But if you die, I'll never forgive you." "Deal." Goalie smiled, a smile that contained both Goku's optimism and Broly's determination. As Vegeta retreated, Goalie turned back to face the Void. He closed his eyes, focusing on Kronos' final words, balance between strength, wisdom, and sacrifice. "Strength alone won't work," he murmured. "I need to be smarter." He analyzed the Void's pattern of advancement, not uniform but pulsing, with a central point from which the nothingness spread outward. The heart, he realized. It has a core. He transformed to his highest form yet, Legendary God Stage 2, and began circling the Void at tremendous speed, looking for patterns, weaknesses. There, a pulse of deeper emptiness at the center, visible only because of how it distorted the nothingness around it. "Found you." Goalie charged directly toward the core, weaving between tendrils of nothingness that reached for him. One caught his leg, erasing his boot and part of his foot. The pain was indescribable, not burning or cutting but the sensation of part of himself simply ceasing to be. He pressed on, his aura intensifying as he approached the core. The bracelet Bulma had given him began to crack under the strain as he channeled more life energy than it was designed to regulate. "Come on," he urged the device. "Just a little longer." At the void's heart, he found what appeared to be a singularity of absolute emptiness, a point where reality itself seemed to fold inward. Surrounding it was a swirling maelstrom of anti-existence that would erase him instantly if touched. Strength won't work, he reminded himself. Wisdom and sacrifice. Understanding dawned. He ceased his attacks and instead spread his arms wide, dropping his defensive aura completely. "I offer myself," he called into the emptiness. "Take me instead of Earth." The void's advance hesitated, as if considering. Then, with frightening speed, tendrils of nothingness shot toward him from all directions. At the last possible instant, Goku's bracelet shattered, but instead of leaving him defenseless, it released all its stored energy at once. The life force it had been regulating exploded outward in a perfect sphere, meeting the void's tendrils. Where they touched, reality reasserted itself. The void recoiled as if in pain. Now. Goku focused all his remaining power, drawing not just on his own life force but reaching outward, connecting to every living thing on Earth, plants, animals, people, their collective existence flowing into him. His form changed again. His hair lengthened and turned a brilliant gold with teal highlights. His eyes shifted to pure white. Patterns like circuitry spread across his skin in glowing lines. "Eternal legendary God," he whispered, the name coming to him instinctively. In this form, he could see the void clearly, not just its physical manifestation but its purpose. Kronos had created it as the ultimate test, a force of cosmic balance designed to challenge worthy guardians and erase failed experiments. "I understand now," Goku said, his voice resonating with newfound power. "This was never about destruction. It's about renewal." He reached into the void's heart, his hand passing through the nothingness unharmed. At its core, he found a crystal sphere, Kronos' control mechanism. "Game over," Goku said, crushing the sphere in his hand. The effect was immediate. The void began collapsing inward, nothingness retreating as reality reasserted itself. Erased matter reappeared, restored to its previous state. Goku maintained his eternal legendary God form, directing the restoration, ensuring no gaps remained in the fabric of reality. The process drained him rapidly, but he persisted until the last traces of the void vanished. As the sky returned to its normal blue, Goku descended to where the others waited, his transcendent form fading back to normal. He stumbled upon landing, exhausted beyond measure. Vegeta caught him, supporting his weight with his newly restored arm. "You actually did it. Was there ever any doubt?" Goku managed a weak grin. "Constantly," Vegeta replied, but a reluctant smirk tugged at his lips. The others rushed forward, Gohan, Goten, Piccolo, Krillin, everyone. Even Chi-Chi approached, wonder in her eyes. "That form," Whis said, studying Goku carefully. "It shouldn't be possible for a mortal to achieve." "I'm not exactly mortal anymore," Goku pointed out. "No," came Kronos' voice as the god of universal balance appeared before them. "You're something new." The assembled fighters tensed, ready for another threat, but Goku raised a hand. "It's okay. He's not here to fight." "Indeed not." Kronos inclined his head slightly. "I'm here to acknowledge success. You've passed all tests, demonstrated balance between strength, wisdom, and sacrifice. By destroying your test," Goku noted. "By transcending it," Kronos corrected. "The void served its purpose, revealing your true potential as a guardian." "So this was all just an elaborate exam?" Vegeta demanded incredulously. "The stakes were real," Kronos assured him. "Had he failed, existence would have been reordered. But yes, the test was manufactured. You risked our entire universe on a cosmic pop quiz." Bulma stepped forward angrily. Kronos seemed genuinely puzzled by their reaction. Of course. How else would I evaluate a potential guardian? Maybe ask nicely. Krillin suggested. The god of universal balance actually chuckled. Perhaps next time. He turned back to Goku. You've earned your existence, guardian. The eternal legendary god state is now yours to command, though I suggest using it sparingly. Such power has consequences. What happens now? Goku asked. That, Kronos replied, is entirely up to you. With those words, he vanished, leaving the group in stunned silence. So. Goten approached cautiously. Are you still going to live with us? Or do you have to go be a guardian somewhere else? The simple question from the child cut through the cosmic implications to the heart of what mattered. Goku knelt before the boy. I'd like to stay, he said gently. If that's okay with you and your mom. Goten looked to Chi-Chi, who stepped forward. You're not Goku, she said, her voice steady. But you're part of him. And you saved us all. Our home is your home, if you want it. I do, Goku replied simply. Though I may need to commute occasionally for guardian duties. As long as you're home for dinner more often than Goku was, Chi-Chi said with a hint of her old fire. Laughter rippled through the group, tension breaking at last. What about you? Goku asked Vegeta later, as the celebrations continued at Capsule Corporation, still planning to surpass me? Obviously, Vegeta snorted. This guardian business just means I have a higher target. I wouldn't have it any other way. As night fell over a restored Earth, Goku stood alone on a cliff overlooking the ocean. His new existence stretched before him, part Scion warrior, part cosmic guardian, wholly unique. In the stars above, he sensed Kronos watching. Not threatening, but observing with cautious approval. I'll find my balance, Goku promised the night sky. Between Earth and cosmos. Between power and responsibility. Between who I was and who I'm becoming. The stars seemed to twinkle in response, and for the first time since his creation, Goku felt truly at peace with his existence. Chapter 3, The Eternal Legendary God. Morning light filtered through the window, falling across Goku's face as he opened his eyes. 3 weeks had passed since the battle with the Void. 3 weeks of adjustment, explanation, and careful steps toward a new normal. He sat up in the guest room bed at Chi-Chi's insistence. She wasn't ready to share her room with someone who both was and wasn't her husband. Fair enough. He stretched, feeling the immense power within him stir and settle. Even in his base form, his energy required constant awareness to prevent accidents. Yesterday, he'd crushed a coffee mug to dust just by picking it up. The day before, he'd accidentally uprooted an entire apple tree while helping with yard work. Everything required recalibration. Dad? I mean, Goku. Goten's voice called from outside. Mom says breakfast's ready. Goku smiled at the boy's correction. Goten tried hardest of all to accept him, switching between calling him Dad and Goku as he processed the change. Coming. He dressed quickly in the new clothes Bulma had designed for him, specially reinforced fabric in dark green with orange trim, his signature colors now. The sun house smelled amazing as he walked into the kitchen. Chi-Chi stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with practiced efficiency while Goten already devoured a mountain of food. Morning, he said, hesitating at the threshold. Chi-Chi glanced over her shoulder. Sit down before it gets cold. I made extra, your appetite seems even bigger than Goku's. Thanks. He took his seat, hyper-aware of every movement. Smells incredible. An awkward silence fell as he began eating. These moments still felt strange, familiar routines with unfamiliar dynamics. Chi-Chi trying to reconcile the stranger with her husband's memories. Him trying to honor Goku's history without pretending to be someone he wasn't. Gohan's coming by later, Chi-Chi said finally, sitting down with her own modest portion. Something about testing your new abilities. Cool. Goten perked up. Can I watch? Homework first, Chi-Chi replied automatically. Goalie caught the flash of pain that crossed her face, the routine response highlighting the abnormal situation. He reached across the table, carefully controlling his strength to touch her hand lightly. Hey, he said softly. One day at a time, right? She met his eyes, those eyes that were Goku's shape but with Broly's intensity and something entirely new mixed in. Right. She didn't pull away. Progress. After breakfast, Goalie helped clear the dishes, another careful exercise in control. As he dried the last plate, his senses prickled. Something approached, something powerful. Vegeta's here, he announced seconds before a knock came at the door. Chi-Chi rolled her eyes. At least he's using the door now instead of just showing up to drag you off to fight. Goalie grinned. Character development. He opened the door to find not just Vegeta but Bulma as well, carrying what looked like scientific equipment. We need to talk, Vegeta said without preamble. Privately. Good morning to you too, Goalie replied. What's with the gear, Bulma? Monitoring equipment, she explained. Your energy signature's been fluctuating. Thought we should track it. Goalie frowned. Fluctuating? I haven't noticed anything. Because you're not paying attention, Vegeta snapped. Too busy playing house. We can talk outside. Goalie stepped onto the grass, nodding farewell to Chi-Chi and Goten. What's going on? Once they were a safe distance from the house, Vegeta turned to face him. Something's changed in you since that final transformation. Your power keeps spiking randomly, even when you're asleep. Whis is concerned, Bulma added, setting up a small device on the ground. He says your energy has a resonance pattern that shouldn't be possible. Resonance with what? That's what we're trying to figure out. Bulma activated her device, which projected a holographic display of energy wavelengths. See this pattern? It's like your power is responding to something beyond our universe. Goalie studied the readings, recognizing the pattern instantly though he couldn't explain how. It's Kronos. He's watching me. The balance god. Vegeta frowned. Why? I'm not sure, Goalie admitted. But ever since the battle, I've felt him observing from a distance. Like he's waiting for something. Waiting for what? Bulma asked. Before Goalie could answer, a surge of familiar energy approached rapidly. Gohan landed nearby, dressed in his research clothes rather than fighting GI. Sorry I'm early, he said. Videl had a morning class. His eyes fell on Bulma's equipment. What's going on? Your stepfather's energy is doing weird cosmic things, Vegeta said bluntly. Gohan winced at the label. He's not my stepfather, he's. He trailed off, still struggling with the proper terminology. It's fine, Goalie assured him. We're still figuring this out together. An uncomfortable silence fell. Despite weeks of adjustment, these moments of identity confusion still arose regularly. Bulma cleared her throat. Anyway, I was hoping to run some tests while you two train. See how your power responds to different situations. Works for me, Gohan agreed, removing his glasses and setting them aside. I've been curious about your abilities. Myself. They moved to a clearing away from the house. Goalie and Gohan squared off while Bulma calibrated her instruments and Vegeta watched with arms crossed. Don't hold back, Gohan said, powering up to his ultimate form. I can take it. Goalie nodded and assumed a fighting stance, a hybrid of Goku's precision and Broly's power posture. Ready when you are. Gohan attacked first, moving with impressive speed. Goalie dodged effortlessly, his perception of time seemingly slower than normal. He countered with a punch pulled just enough to avoid serious damage. Even so, the impact sent Gohan flying through 3 trees before he caught himself. Wow, Gohan gasped, rubbing his chest. That was maybe 10% of your strength? Less, Goalie admitted. Still calibrating. They continued sparring, Goalie carefully restricting his power while Gohan pushed to his limits. Despite the controlled nature of the fight, Goalie felt something stirring within him, power responding to combat in a way it hadn't during daily activities. Your readings are spiking. Bulma called out. Whatever you're doing, it's triggering the resonance pattern. I'm just sparring, Goalie replied, sidestepping a ki blast from Gohan. No, you're enjoying it, Vegeta observed. The fighting spirit awakens your true power. He was right. Despite all his control, something primal within Goalie, the pure Saiyan joy of battle shared by both Goku and Broly, responded to the challenge. Maybe we should stop, Gohan suggested, noticing the change in Goalie's energy. No, Goalie shook his head. I need to learn control in all situations. Keep coming. Gohan nodded and resumed his assault with increased intensity. Goalie matched him move for move, gradually allowing more power to flow. His aura shifted colors, from white to gold-tinted teal as he approached his legendary god form. The resonance is getting stronger. Bulma shouted over the clash of energies. Suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple around Goalie. A familiar voice echoed in his mind. It's time, Guardian. Kronos. Goalie stopped mid-punch, looking around. The others hadn't heard it. Gohan took advantage of the distraction to land a solid hit that Goalie barely noticed. Hey, you okay? Gohan asked, immediately concerned. Before Goalie could answer, reality tore open beside them. A portal appeared, not the violent rifts of the void, but a controlled doorway between dimensions. Kronos stepped through, his cosmic form somehow more substantial than before. Apologies for the interruption, the balance god said casually, as if dropping by for coffee. Vegeta immediately shifted to a fighting stance. What do you want now? Another test? In a manner of speaking. Kronos turned to Goalie. Your adjustment period is over. The true work begins now. What work? Goalie asked, though a part of him already knew the answer. Universal balance requires maintenance. The void was merely one symptom of greater cosmic instability. Kronos gestured, and the air between them filled with images of different universes, different timelines, all showing signs of breakdown. Reality is fraying at the edges. I need my guardians. I thought that was just a title, Goalie said. Kronos smiled thinly. No. It's a job. Your job now. Hold on, Gohan interjected. You can't just show up and take him away. I'm not taking him anywhere, Kronos replied. I'm activating what he already is. And if I refuse? Goalie asked. The balance god's expression hardened. The power you wield cannot exist without purpose. It will consume you from within. That's what's happening, Bulma realized, checking her readings. The resonance pattern, it's your power trying to fulfill its function. Goalie considered this. The restlessness he'd felt these past weeks, the sense of something unfinished, suddenly made sense. How long would I be gone? He asked quietly. Gone. Gohan echoed. You're actually considering this? Time flows differently across dimensions, Kronos explained. What might be months of service could pass as days here. Or vice versa. That's not an answer, Vegeta snapped. Because there is no fixed answer, Kronos replied. The role of guardian exists outside normal time streams. Goalie closed his eyes, feeling the power within him resonating with Kronos's words. The eternal legendary god state wasn't just a transformation, it was his true nature now, demanding expression. I need to speak with my family first, he said finally. Kronos nodded. Of course. But don't delay too long. The instability grows. With that, he stepped backward into his portal, which sealed seamlessly behind him. Silence fell over the group. "You're not seriously considering this?" Vegeta demanded. "I don't think I have a choice," Goku replied. "You felt my power fluctuating. It's looking for purpose." "Your purpose is here," Gohan insisted. "Protecting Earth, like Dad always did." "I'm not just your dad anymore," Goku said gently. "I'm something new." "So that's it?" Gohan's voice hardened. "We lose you all over again. Dad sacrificed himself for this fusion, and now you're abandoning the very people he was trying to protect." The accusation stung. "No. I'm not abandoning anyone. But I need to understand what I've become." "Gohan," Bulma interrupted, studying her readings. "These energy fluctuations are getting worse. If Kronos is right, Goku could become dangerous without proper outlet for his power." "Fine." Gohan turned away. "Do what you have to do." He took off without another word, flying back toward his home. "He'll come around," Bulma said softly. "He's just afraid of losing you again." "I know." Goku stared after him. "I need to talk to Chi-Chi." The conversation with Chi-Chi went better than expected. Perhaps she'd always known Goku, and by extension, Goku, would never truly settle into normal life. "I was married to a man who saved the universe repeatedly," she said, sitting at the kitchen table while Goten played outside. "I knew what I signed up for." "This is different," Goku said. "I might be gone for periods of time that don't make sense in our timeline." Chi-Chi reached for his hand. "Will you come back?" "Always. Then we'll manage." She squeezed his fingers. "We always have." Goku felt a rush of gratitude for her strength. "I don't deserve you." Goku always said that too. She smiled sadly. "Just promise me something. Anything. Remember who you're fighting for. That's what keeps you, human, despite all the power." "I promise." When Kronos returned that evening, Goku was ready. He stood in the yard wearing his custom GI, saying goodbye to Chi-Chi and Goten. Bulma, Vegeta, and several other Z fighters had gathered as well. Gohan arrived last, his expression still troubled but present nonetheless. "I'll come back," Goku promised them. "All. Whenever I can, however I can." "You better," Vegeta said gruffly. "I'm not done surpassing you yet." Goku grinned. "Wouldn't expect anything less." He knelt before Goten. "Hey, look after your mom while I'm gone, okay?" The boy nodded solemnly. "I will. And I'll keep training too, so I can help next time." "That's my boy." The words came naturally, and for once, no one flinched at the paternal claim. He turned to Gohan last. "I understand why you're upset." "Do you?" Gohan's voice was quiet. "Dad always left. Always found something more important than being here." "Not more important," Goku corrected. "Just more urgent. His heart was always here." "And yours?" Goku placed a hand on Gohan's shoulder. "A part of me will always be Goku. That part loves you as a son, unconditionally. The rest of me, Broly, and whatever new person I'm becoming, respects the hell out of the man you've become." Something in Gohan's expression softened. "Just come back in one piece. Count on it." As the goodbyes finished, Kronos opened his dimensional portal. "Ready, Guardian?" Goku nodded and stepped toward the gateway. He turned back once more, taking in the faces of those he loved, then walked through. The portal closed behind him, and Earth fell away. The realm beyond defied description, a space between spaces, where reality existed as malleable patterns rather than fixed forms. Colors Goku had never seen swirled around him. Concepts rather than objects formed the landscape. "Welcome to the Nexus," Kronos said, his form here more fluid, less humanoid. "The crossroads of all realities." "It's..." Goku struggled for words. Beyond language, Kronos finished for him. Your mind will adjust. As if on cue, Goali's perception shifted. The chaos resolved into something comprehensible, a vast chamber with countless doorways, each leading to different universes, different timelines. This is where you observe the balance, Kronos explained, leading him to the center where a complex web of energy lines connected everything. Each strand represents a reality thread. When they vibrate in harmony, balance exists. When they don't. He gestured to several strands that pulsed erratically, their colors darkening. What's causing the instability? Goalie asked. The entity. Entity. Kronos waved a hand, and an image formed, a massive, shadowy presence moving between universes, feeding on their energy. Unlike the void, which was my creation, the entity is something older than even I. Kronos's voice took on an unusual edge. It consumes cosmic energy, growing stronger with each reality it damages. And you want me to fight it? Eventually. First, you must master your guardian abilities. Kronos touched Goalie's forehead. Your power extends beyond physical strength now. Knowledge flooded Goalie's mind, techniques for traveling between dimensions, manipulating cosmic energy, even altering localized reality. The information would have overwhelmed a normal being, but his fused mind processed it with surprising adaptability. Whoa, he breathed as the knowledge transfer completed. That was intense. Merely the basics, Kronos assured him. Your true training begins now. What followed defied normal time perception. Goalie traveled across countless realities, learning to sense imbalances and correct them. He visited dying stars and renewed their energy. He reinforced reality barriers where they grew thin. He mediated conflicts between godlike beings whose battles threatened universal stability. Throughout it all, his power grew and refined. The legendary god form became as natural as breathing, and he discovered new aspects of it, the ability to exist in multiple places simultaneously, to perceive across dimensions, to channel the very essence of creation itself. After what felt like both moments and millennia, Kronos brought him back to the nexus. You've progressed remarkably, the balance god observed. Faster than any guardian candidate before you. How long has it been? Goalie asked. For Earth. 3 days. And for me? Kronos smiled enigmatically. Time is relative here. Before Goalie could press further, several reality threads began pulsing violently. Kronos's expression darkened. It's found us. The entity knows of your existence now. Good. Goalie's eyes shifted to their teal color. I'm ready to face it. Are you? Kronos studied him carefully. The entity isn't merely powerful, it's antithetical to your very existence. Where you represent creation and balance, it embodies entropy and chaos. Then we're perfectly matched. Goalie cracked his knuckles. Where is it? Approaching Universe 7, your home. Goalie's blood ran cold. Earth? The entity is drawn to powerful energy signatures. Your transformation during the void battle caught its attention. It's been searching for you ever since. Then I need to lead it away from Earth. No. Kronos placed a hand on Goalie's shoulder. It's time you understood your true purpose. The entity cannot be defeated by conventional means. Only an eternal legendary god can bind it, and only by sacrificing their freedom. What are you saying? The original guardians didn't fight the entity, they imprisoned it, becoming living seals that contained its power for eternity. Understanding dawned. That's why you arranged the fusion. You needed a prison for the entity. I needed a guardian strong enough to contain it, Kronos corrected. The fusion ritual was designed for this specific purpose, creating beings with the capacity to bind cosmic threats. Anger flashed through Goalie, Broly's rage threatening to surface. You manipulated us. Created the void as a threat to force the fusion. Yes. Kronos didn't bother denying it. Individual lives, even exceptional ones like Goku and Broly, mean little against universal stakes. Goku's aura erupted around him, power surging with his emotions. You used us. I created you, Kronos countered calmly. And now you must fulfill your purpose. By becoming a living prison forever. By saving everything you love. Kronos gestured, and a viewing portal opened showing Earth. The entity will consume your world first, using it as a gateway to your universe. Goku stared at the image of his home, Chi-Chi tending her garden, Goten playing with Trunks, Gohan working in his study. Everything he'd promised to return to. There has to be another way, he insisted. There isn't. Every guardian before you has made this sacrifice. Then they lacked imagination. Goku's mind raced, combining Goku's creative battle instincts with Broly's raw determination. I won't be a prison. I'll find a way to destroy the entity completely. Kronos actually laughed. Destroy a cosmic force that predates the universes themselves. Impossible. Watch me. Goku vanished, using his newly learned dimensional travel to return to Earth instantly. He appeared at Capsule Corporation, startling Bulma in her lab. Goku, she yelped, dropping a delicate instrument. What's wrong? You look, no time, he cut her off. I need the dragon radar. Now. Why? What's happening? Something's coming. Something worse than the void. I need the Dragon Balls. Understanding the urgency in his voice, Bulma retrieved the radar without further questions. Here. They were used recently, you'll have to wait months before, not our Dragon Balls, Goku interrupted. Namex. Before she could respond, he'd teleported away. Within hours, Goku had collected all 7 Namekian Dragon Balls, appearing on New Namek and explaining the situation to Elder Muri, who granted permission for their use. As the massive Porunga appeared above the Namekian village, Goku sensed a disturbance in reality. The entity was approaching faster than expected. Speak your wishes, Porunga boomed. Goku had prepared carefully, using his cosmic knowledge to formulate wishes beyond normal parameters. First, I wish for a weapon forged from the essence of creation itself, capable of harming the cosmic entity that approaches. Porunga's eyes glowed as he processed the unusual request. This exceeds my normal power, the dragon admitted. But your own energy can supplement mine to make it possible. Goku nodded and channeled power into the dragon, his aura merging with Porunga's. The strain was immense, but together they manifested a gleaming weapon, a staff that shimmered with the same teal-gold energy as Goku's legendary god form. Your wish is granted, Porunga announced. Speak your second wish. I wish for the knowledge of how to permanently bind or destroy the entity without sacrificing my existence. Again, Porunga strained against the limits of his power. Such knowledge is hidden even from dragons, he rumbled. But I can grant you the collective wisdom of all previous guardians who faced the entity. Do it. Information flooded Goku's mind, countless battles, countless containment strategies, countless sacrifices. But among them, a pattern emerged. None had tried combining the entity's own entropy with creative force. All had accepted Kronos' premise that imprisonment was the only option. Final wish, Goku said as the knowledge settled. I wish to know Kronos' true purpose and nature. Porunga actually hesitated. This wish endangers you. Grant it anyway. The dragon's eyes flashed, and the final revelation hit Goku like a physical blow. Kronos and the entity, two sides of the same cosmic force. Not enemies but siblings, locked in an eternal cycle. Kronos creating guardians not to defeat the entity but to maintain their cosmic game. I understand now, Goku whispered as Porunga vanished, the Dragon Balls scattering across New Namek's surface. He teleported back to Earth, appearing at the Sun House where everyone had gathered, somehow sensing the approaching danger. Chi-Chi, Gohan, Goten, Vegeta, Bulma, Piccolo, all the Z fighters. Something's coming, Piccolo stated, feeling the disturbance in reality. Yes. Goku gripped his newly created staff. But we're ready. He quickly explained what he'd learned, Kronos' manipulation, the entity's nature, their cosmic relationship. So these gods have been playing games with universes? Vegeta snarled. Typical. And you're supposed to sacrifice yourself as part of their game? Chi-Chi asked, voice tight with anger. That was the plan, Goku confirmed. But I'm changing the rules. Above them, the sky darkened. Not the nothingness of the void, but something more primal, reality itself groaning under immense pressure. A rift opened, larger than any they'd seen before, and through it came darkness given form. The entity emerged, a colossal being composed of swirling cosmic matter, its core a pulsing anti-light that hurt the eyes to look upon. Where it passed, physics itself distorted. That's big, Krillin said weakly. Size isn't everything, Goku replied with Goku's characteristic pre-battle smile. He turned to the others. I need you all to focus your energy on me when the time comes. Every bit of ki you can spare. What's the plan? Gohan asked. Something never tried before. Goku transformed, shifting directly to his legendary god form. I'm going to trap Kronos and the entity together. Before they could question further, he launched himself skyward, staff in hand, directly toward the cosmic monstrosity. As he approached, Kronos appeared beside him, reality bending around the balance god. You've discovered the truth, Kronos observed calmly. That you and the entity are cosmic siblings? That you've been using guardians as pawns in your game? Yeah, I figured it out. Then you understand why sacrifice is necessary, Kronos insisted. The cycle must continue. Not anymore. Goku swung his staff, channeling energy through it. The weapon cut through reality itself, creating a barrier between Earth and the approaching entity. Impressive, Kronos admitted. But temporary. Just buying time. Goku turned to face him fully. For this. He moved faster than even Kronos could track, striking the balance god with precision blows that targeted specific cosmic pressure points, knowledge gained from Purunga's wish. Kronos fought back with terrifying power, the battle extending across dimensions, visible from Earth as reality fractures in the sky. Meanwhile, the entity pressed against Goku's barrier, its vast power gradually breaking through. You cannot defeat both of us. Kronos shouted as they clashed. Accept your purpose. My purpose, Goku countered, blocking a devastating attack, is what I choose. Not what you designed me for. He drove Kronos back toward the entity, implementing his plan. On Earth below, the Z fighters watched the cosmic battle unfold. Now. Goku called down to them. Your energy. All of it. They responded instantly, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, everyone channeling their ki upward in streams of light. Goku absorbed it all, his form shifting, transcending even the legendary god state. His hair lengthened, turning pure white with golden tips. Cosmic patterns spread across his skin as he accessed the eternal legendary god form once more. This ends today, he declared. With newfound power, he created a complex energy web, a pattern drawn from both Guardian's knowledge and his own warrior instincts. Where the threads intersected, reality itself folded inward, creating a pocket dimension. What are you doing? Kronos demanded, suddenly uncertain. Breaking your cycle. Goku drove his staff into the center of the web, anchoring it. The entity isn't the enemy. You're not the solution. You're both part of the same game. He began drawing both Kronos and the entity toward the pocket dimension, using his energy web to contain them. The entity resisted, its entropy threatening to destroy everything. Kronos fought with equal desperation, reality warping around him. If you trap us both, cosmic balance ends. Kronos warned. Chaos will reign. No, Goku countered. A new balance will emerge. One not based on your endless cycle. With a final surge of power, he forced both cosmic entities into the pocket dimension. They howled, not in pain but in rage at their game being disrupted. The pocket began to collapse under their combined power. Goku realized with dismay that it wouldn't hold. Even his eternal legendary god power wasn't enough to contain both permanently. One final sacrifice would be needed. But not his existence. Something else. I understand now, he whispered, raising his staff. The true purpose of a guardian. He channeled every ounce of his power into one final technique, not imprisonment but transformation. The staff glowed blindingly bright as he drove it into the heart of the pocket dimension. Balance doesn't need custodians, Goku declared. It needs change. The staff shattered, releasing its pure creation energy into the confined space containing Kronos and the entity. Their cosmic essences began to merge, forced together by the power of creation itself. No! Kronos screamed. This isn't, his voice cut off as the pocket dimension collapsed completely, imploding with the force of 1,000 supernovas. The shockwave rippled across reality itself, knocking Goku backward through dimensions. He fell, power depleted, transformations fading. The last thing he saw before consciousness fled was Earth's blue sky rushing up to meet him. Goku woke to find himself in a capsule corp medical bed, surrounded by concerned faces. He's awake. Goten shouted excitedly. About time, Vegeta grunted, though relief showed clearly on his face. Goku tried to sit up, wincing at the pain that shot through his body. How long was I out? 3 days, Bulma replied. We weren't sure you'd wake up at all. Your energy was completely drained. Memory returned in a rush. Kronos, the entity, gone, Piccolo confirmed. Whatever you did up there, it worked. The cosmic disturbances have vanished completely. Not gone, Goku corrected, sensing something new in the universe. Transformed. They've become something new together. Something balanced. How? Gohan asked. Goku smiled weakly. I used the creation energy in the staff to force them to merge, just like Goku and Broly merged to create me. Forced evolution. Understanding dawned on their faces. You used your own experience as a template, Bulma realized. Brilliant. And risky, Vegeta added. You could have been erased from existence. Worth the gamble, Goku replied. Better than becoming a living prison for eternity. Chi-Chi pushed through to his bedside, taking his hand. Are they gone for good? No more cosmic gods dragging you away. Goku reached out with his senses, feeling the new cosmic presence, distant but stable. They won't bother us again. The new combined entity has a different purpose. I can feel it. And what about you? Chi-Chi asked quietly. What's your purpose now? It was the question he'd been asking himself since the fusion. Now, finally, he had an answer. To live, he said simply. To protect what matters. To be who I am, not who anyone designed me to be. In the weeks that followed, Goku's powers returned gradually, different than before. The resonance pattern Bulma had detected was gone, replaced by stable, integrated energy. He could still access the legendary god form and even glimpses of the eternal state, but they no longer came with cosmic responsibilities attached. He built a house near Goku's original home, close enough for family visits but separate, acknowledging his distinct identity. Chi-Chi began spending time there occasionally, their relationship evolving into something new and undefined but genuine. Gohan finally stopped stumbling over what to call him, settling on simply Goku with the same respect he'd shown his father. Goten bounced between calling him Dad and Goku depending on the situation, and both felt right. Vegeta, true to form, intensified his training. Just because you beat up a couple of cosmic entities doesn't mean you're unbeatable, he declared during their regular sparring sessions. Wouldn't dream of thinking otherwise, Goku replied with a grin. 6 months after the battle, Goku stood on the cliff where he'd first contemplated his new existence after the void incident. The sunset painted the sky in brilliant colors as he sensed a familiar presence approaching. "Thought I'd find you here," Piccolo said, landing beside him. "Just thinking." Goku nodded toward the horizon. "Taking it all in. Adjusting well. Better every day." He smiled. "The nightmares about being split apart have mostly stopped." Piccolo nodded understanding. "Fusion changes you. Even temporary ones leave marks. I can't imagine what a permanent one feels like." "Like being more complete than I ever was as separate people," Goku admitted. Goku had experience but lacked Broly's raw potential. Broly had power but lacked Goku's control and connections. Together. He shrugged. "It just works. The others have accepted." "You," Piccolo observed. "Even Chi-Chi, in her way." "She's incredible," Goku agreed. "Adapting to something no one should have to adapt to." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. "You sense it, don't you?" Piccolo finally asked. "Out there?" Goku nodded. He'd felt it for weeks, a new presence in the cosmic order. Not threatening like the entity or controlling like Kronos, but watchful. Balanced. "They're aware," he confirmed. "The merged cosmic force. Observing but not interfering. Following your example." "Maybe." Goku smiled at the thought. Everything seeking balance in its own way. A signal came from the communicator Bulma had given him, the family dinner alert. Chi-Chi was gathering everyone at her house tonight. "Duty calls," Goku said, preparing to teleport. "Not cosmic duty this time," Piccolo noted with rare humor. "Just family. The most important kind." Goku placed 2 fingers to his forehead. "Care to join us?" The Namekian actually smiled. "Why not?" They vanished, reappearing outside the sun house where lights glowed warmly in the windows. Inside, voices called out greetings as they entered, Gohan and Videl setting the table, Goten and Trunks arguing over a video game, Chi-Chi orchestrating the chaos from the kitchen. Vegeta and Bulma arrived moments later, completing the gathering. As they settled around the expanded table, conversations flowing, laughter echoing, Goku felt a contentment neither Goku nor Broly had experienced individually. Not just happiness in the moment, but a sense of rightness, of being exactly who and where he was meant to be. "Everything okay?" Chi-Chi asked, noticing his thoughtful expression. He smiled, reaching for her hand. "Perfect." Above them, stars twinkled in the night sky, the cosmos continuing its eternal dance, now with a new balance at its heart. And on Earth, its newest defender had found his own balance at last, not as a reluctant fusion or cosmic guardian, but simply as himself. The eternal legendary god had become something even more powerful, a person who had chosen his own destiny. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.